Well, Luciano, you couldn't be singing truer words. Che bella cosa una giornata di sole, and in this country it can't stop raining. We've been through buckets of rain for the last 10 days, hailstorms, gale force winds, but that will not put me off from barbecuing today and introducing you to quite a nice side dish, which is very much part of the Roman tradition. So that will bring a little bit of sun indoors. It's Pomodori di riso al forno, which translates into rice stuffed tomatoes baked in the oven. Very simple to prepare, scrumptious, very reasonably priced. You know, all the ingredients used for this will be very affordable, quick to prepare. They can be enjoyed straight out of the oven, or also you can prepare them in advance and enjoy them cold, which will be quite useful actually if you're entertaining guests. Then you want to make them in advance and keep them on a kitchen top, and then they will be a fantastic side dish. But let's focus the attention on the kitchen top now, and I will run through again the few utensils I'll be using, the few ingredients, top-notch quality ingredients as always, and I will show you how to prepare this most scrumptious dish, which I have no doubt will impress you guests. So let's get into it. So let me whisk through the simple ingredients I'll be using for this nice simple recipe today. I will be using a sharp chef's knife to take the top of the tomatoes off in a neat fashion. I will be using a little utility knife to make an initial indent around the tomato and into the flesh of the tomato. And then I will be using a fruit carver to very gently remove as much of the pulp from the inside of the tomato and leave a generous cavity to be filled in with the tomato mix and the rice. I will be using an electric mixer. However, if you're using a tomato passata to prepare the mix with your rice, you won't need the mixer. And then of course a clean bowl where you will mix the ingredients for the filling. And that is about it when it comes to the utensils. Let me run quickly through the ingredients I'll be using today. So very, very good quality tomatoes, firm to the touch because you'll be handling them a fair bit, and also during the baking process they will keep their shape. I will also be using some fresh garlic. For those of you who struggle to digest garlic, you can skip this particular ingredients. I will be using a couple of cloves and I will blend them together with the tomato sauce. And then I will use some very fresh cilantro. You can use parsley in the place of the cilantro. Very fresh basil leaves. And some chefs would normally add dried oregano, which also is very recommended. It's a beautiful flavor. I prefer to do it with cilantro and basil. It's a personal preference, but you know, whichever herb you like, you can go for it. So for the rice mix, I will be using this particular type of tomatoes. They're finely chopped tomatoes from the Mutti range, and I know as a fact as I use this product time and time again for pasta sauces that the flavor of the tomatoes in here are incredibly strong, you know, proper tomato taste, whereas sometimes tomatoes are grown into greenhouses in Greenland, in Finland and in Norway, and I'm sorry, but tomatoes are meant to be grown in Spain, Italy, Israel, you know, Northern Africa, somewhere hot and sunny. So no offense to our Scandinavian friends, but let the Mediterraneans run the tomato show. And then I will be using some organic extra virgin olive oil, some freshly crushed black pepper, some good sea salt, quality sea salt, and then the risotto. I will be using carnaroli today. Sorry about this light in the middle of it. I don't know if you can see it, that's it. You can use arborio for this particular recipe. Just make sure not to rinse your rice underwater because you will need the starch to stick together and you know, form a very nice thick risotto in the middle of the tomatoes. So what I'm going to be doing now is prepare the tomatoes, chop the ingredients, get everything ready to go in the bowl, and I will come back in a second to show you how the recipe progresses. Right, I am back, and I am back with a huge apology because earlier on I forgot to mention one of the key ingredients in this recipe. You will need 6 or 7 tablespoons of Parmigiano Reggiano Parmesan, grated Parmesan cheese, which is absolutely essential in this recipe. So apologies for that. Anyway, in the interim, I have prepared my tomatoes. They're nicely sort of caved, ready to accommodate the rice mix. I've got some tomatoes, some of those chopped tomatoes in the bowl. Everything else is ready. So what I'm going to do now is just add the ingredients into the tomato mix. This is the garlic, which you may omit. I will place a tablespoonful of sea salt, and then some crushed pepper. I like it quite peppery actually. Plus this pepper mill isn't doing the best of all jobs, but here we go, it's all done. And then some extra virgin olive oil. And that's us done. At the stage, we can then use a blender and mix it all together. So the garlic, salt and pepper is now very well mixed. Put this one away. What I'm going to be doing now is just add the rice in. It's a bit too much, here we go. I will then add the Parmesan cheese and our herbs. This is it. We'll give it a really good stir. And this will go either in the fridge, or you can leave it on the kitchen top and let it rest for approximately 45 minutes to an hour, during which time the raw rice will start soaking in the liquid from the tomato sauce. And then after an hour, we'll use this mix to fill the tomatoes in, and I will be back in a second to show you. Right, and that's us ready to rock. In the meantime, I have marinated 2 beautiful ribeye steaks with perfect marbling. What I'm going to do now is use our mix, which has been resting for approximately an hour, and stuff these tomatoes. Just please remember not to fill them up all the way to the edge, because the rice will grow during the cooking process, and it will crack your tomatoes in the oven. So you'll need just a very little mix. And let me show you how it's all done. That's it. That is more than enough. I'm actually going to be preparing a lot more of these tomatoes later on after filming this, because I've got plenty of risotto left. So you then close the tomato with its original sort of lid or cap. That's it. And you place it onto a baking tray. We'll do the second one, and it'll go into the oven for approximately an hour at 200 degrees. That's because these tomatoes are actually quite large, but you could, if you've got smaller tomatoes, you could bake them at 180 degrees for about 50 minutes. So this is nicely done. That's it. We'll close the cap on this. Baking tray ready to go in the oven, which is already set at 200 degrees. See you shortly. And that's us in this beautiful weather. The steaks are perfectly grilled. What do you think about them? that will go really, really well with the stuffed tomatoes. Anyway, see you in a second. Right, guys, so an hour has gone past. The stuffed tomatoes have come out of the oven 5 minutes ago for photographic purposes. For the thumbnail of the video, I placed them into a little rectangular dish, but as you can tell, they were absolutely amazing. One has slightly collapsed for some reason, which is quite strange because the tomatoes were quite firm. But what we're going to do now, we're going to assemble our dish. So we're going to place our beautiful steak, and then we're going to take some nice oven chips, which I'm quite happy about. Here we go. And this dish will look quite pretty. It's a single, that's it, that's roasted on that side. This is it, it's more than enough. And then all we're going to do is transfer very carefully one of the 2 tomatoes into the dish. Ooh, I beg your pardon. This one that is slightly firmer. That's that. And then drizzle some extra virgin olive oil. Let me do it this way so that there's no shadows generated onto the plate. And a tiny little bit of olive oil onto the tomato. And this is what your platter will look like. So I will be serving this at the table very shortly, and I'll show you a final clip from there. Okay. And at last, this is the table ready for dinner. Look how beautiful this combination of a ribeye, perfectly grilled ribeye steak, the stuffed tomatoes with rice, and some goose fat Maris Piper oven chips. Absolutely gorgeous. Well, ladies and gents, you look after yourself, and I'll be back after thinking about another recipe that you could recreate quite easily. Take care, look after yourself, bye bye.